Hello and welcome back to the Patient First Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bryan Laskin, where of course we're looking to increase the influence of today's engaged dentists. And today we are talking specifically to younger dentists, or maybe dentists that are not towards the end of their career, because I got the opportunity to talk to a wonderful, relatively younger dentist in the last couple days. And she really got me thinking about, I have that sort of wiring or personality that I tend to think that everything that I know, the other person that I'm talking to knows, and you forget, frankly, of the experience that you get along the way, the learning, the walls that I've walked into, frankly. One of the core values that we have here at Upgrade Dental is success or learning, because I truly feel that you need to try, and failing is how you learn. I'm a snowboarder, and how did I learn to snowboard? I fell all the time, and that's the way everything works. And so today we're going to dig into some personal thoughts that I had, which are the 3 things that I wish I knew when I started practicing dentistry. And hopefully if you have had several years behind you in dentistry, over 20, in my case, some of this will resonate with you, maybe not, and maybe you'll have other ones. And if you do have different things that you've learned, if you want to share, please like, subscribe, and download. I'd love to hear your comments next to this video. We're just getting massive views now. Our viewership has 10x'd this quarter, 10 times as many downloads and views as previously. So we're really getting a lot of reach. So I'd love to hear from the audience what you've learned, what you wish that you knew when you started practicing dentistry. Hopefully can help out some younger dentists, or even some seasoned dentists who maybe have gotten into a rut. They get stuck in their career, which we've talked about that before. I do think that the way to success is not a straight line. There tends to be plateaus along the way, and then you have to look to the next height of plateau. So in the interest of getting unstuck and reaching your next plateau in your practice, I'd like to share 3 things that I wish I knew when I first started practicing dentistry. Number 1 is a big one that I talk a lot about, kind of wrote a book about it, and it is clinical mastery does not equal financial success. I thought this was the case when I first started practicing dentistry. I thought that the key to being a successful dentist, successful measured in dollars, not necessarily in outcomes for my patients, but the key to being successful financially was clinical mastery. And of course, clinical mastery is core to what we do as dentists. It's important. It is the most important thing, frankly. However, we do need to provide for our families. And frankly, if you do not have a financially successful practice, I would say you cannot have clinical mastery, because it limits what you can invest in, limits who you can hire. You need to have the best team around you. You need to have the best equipment, the best supplies to provide the best care for your patients. And you can't do that if you don't have your financial house in order. So what do? I think there's a couple great options now today. I've said before, I think this is the best time to be a dentist, and I think it's the worst time to be a dentist. It's the worst time to be a dentist, I believe, if you think that you are a new dentist coming out of school and you're going to both obtain clinical mastery and financial mastery at the same time. You really need to do one first. And you should only do financial mastery if you're planning on not doing the dentistry. I obviously in dental school, you come out with lots of great skills. I think that, if you're going to just be doing routine dentistry, like fillings and maybe single unit crowns, and you want to focus on mastering the business side and then basically position yourself out of clinical practice, that's a great option today. Or if you want to just do clinical mastery and not pay attention to the business at all, absolutely, there's lots of opportunities to do that today. When I got out of dental school 20 years ago, there was this romanticism of owning your own practice, which I think still exists to some point today, which can be the case. However, it's exceedingly getting more difficult to do both at the same time, to run a successful practice and to have clinical mastery and to lead the team and to do all of the things that a patient and your team expect today. Doing it all with one person is very, very hard. And I've talked to some seasoned dentists who are top of the game, and they're at a crossroads where they're like, my practices are going great. I've mastered it, but I know that I need to bring on associates, and I'm just kind of stuck, right? So there's a lot baked in this number one, the fact that clinical mastery does not equal financial success. There's many, many things that equal financial success beyond clinical mastery. And it doesn't mean you can't achieve both, but coming out of school as a new dentist, you really have to focus on one. I did focus on clinical mastery first. I think that was the right call. I bought a practice, frankly, from somebody who was the best clinician I've ever worked with, and he taught me everything I knew clinically when it came to crown and bridge and full mouth reconstruction and those types of things. I mean, obviously newer things like CAD CAM I brought to the practice, but I think that was great. And so I spent about 3 or 4 years after dental school focusing almost exclusively on clinical mastery and almost tanked my practice while doing that. So then I made a quick flip and focused on the business systems, and that's kind of really what I focus on today. And as you know, if you have been watching or listening to the podcast, when I'm talking about focusing on the business, I really mean focusing on the patient's perspective. Putting patients first is the way to grow your practice. I believe that strongly. And so focusing on the patient experience, I'm horrible at looking P&Ls and balance sheets and all of that stuff, but I am a master of the patient experience. And that is exactly what I think leads to financial success. So that's number one. Number two, greatness comes from working with others, specifically a small group of dedicated people who are committed and respectful with each other to obtain a common goal. That's how you achieve great things. I think if you get too many people, this gets off track. So you can have subsets of people, but having fantastic people that are aligned in their mission and the goals that are working together is how you achieve greatness. Why is this was something that I wish I knew when I was first starting practicing? Well, I thought I could do everything myself. I thought if I could outwork every problem, I thought I could outthink every problem, and you cannot alone. I think, as Scott Galloway says, greatness comes in the agency of others. And I think that assembling a team of people that fulfill your weak spots, which I have a lot. I like to say I'm not a well-rounded individual. I'm like a funny car. I can go really fast in one direction. Everything else falls by the wayside. So I need to have other people around me to do that, to pick up everything else. And I think that's true of everybody. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses, or what I would say, things that other people excel at that we should fulfill around us. And recognizing that and delegating to people who are much better than me at other things, which requires putting your ego aside. As my friend Gary Cady says, your ego is not your amigo. Put it aside and let others help you meet your mission. So me as a younger dentist, the way I grew up, it was all kind of like I could outwork every problem on my own. But if you're going to achieve greatness in dentistry, we work with others. And maybe if you're an endodontist and you want to work by yourself, you can do fantastic, have a fantastic business, and also achieve fantastic clinical outcomes. But for most of us in dentistry, we need to work well with others, and that means a lot of things, right? That means focusing on elevating people around you, delegating, letting go of your ego, having a lot of self-reflection and self-knowledge of what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and then finding that you can find those things that you hate doing that you're not good at, helping other people do that around you so that you can all achieve your goals. So number two, greatness comes from working with others, specifically a small group of dedicated people. The third thing that I wish I knew when I was a dentist, just coming out of school, it's related to number two, and it is the superpower of leadership. Having a vision that's big, that people get inspired to be down for, because we all know that as we go to work every day, we're going to have problems, right? So having somebody that's the calm, cool, collected center who has that mission in mind at all times and is reiterating the importance of that to the team, that's leading the team. I have been blown away over the course of my career in the power of leadership. And I've met some of the greatest leaders in the world, and with the idea of, is their role really that important? Was Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Richard Branson or Elon Musk, are these people who everybody looks at and says, how can that one person lead this gigantic organization? Are they that key? And I have found the answer to be absolutely 100% clearly yes. Yes, yes, yes. Leadership is that important because how do we get greatness done? With others. And others need to have somebody who's leading them. And usually it's one person. I think it can be done with two, but I think it's more difficult having a single leader that helps lead the team. And we talk a lot about leadership in the course that I just wrapped up filming, which is the Insanely Productive Dentist. I talk about greatness with others. I mean, that is me talking. I do the live Q&A, but I have my team behind me have just executed flawlessly with that workshop. So I have to specifically thank Megan and Nate for doing just a phenomenal job on getting the presentation together and filmed and edited and all of that. I mean, I think we really knocked it out of the park. It's a fantastic series that I'm really proud of. We talk a lot about leadership and management and delegation and all the things that it takes to be an insanely productive dentist that I wish I knew when I was coming out of school. But I also talk about the business of dentistry in my book, The Patient First Manifesto. If you don't have a copy, it's free. Get it at thepatientfirstbook.com. We had like 100 people get the book last week. It's been flying off. It's a #1 Amazon bestseller. It's another thing that I'd love to say that I wrote the majority of it, but it was also a team effort. Obviously, we have proofreaders and editors, and again, Megan and Nate were instrumental in helping with guide the content. And so I think it's important to stop and look back and think, what are the things that you wish you knew when you were younger, because it helps focus on what you want to actually work on going forward. So again, make sure to comment. I'd love to hear what you wish you knew coming out of dental school. Because man, I know when I look back coming out of dental school, I had so much energy and was ready to go and was channeling it sometimes in not the right direction. So that's the purpose of this episode of the Patient First podcast, to hopefully help you as the engaged dentist to help elevate your practice and increase your influence as always. And I appreciate you showing up and being engaged, and I look forward to seeing you next week right here at the Patient First podcast.